All right, welcome everybody. I am enjoying seeing where everybody's at in the chat. Feel free to keep that up. That's wonderful. Well, hi everyone. It is so nice to meet you finally. I'm Debbie Trueblood. I am the new CEO of NIGP. So I met some of you maybe at the Leadership Summit in Tucson a couple of weeks ago, but again, it is great to be with so many of you for the first time. So as we kick off Procurement Month, I thought I'd first just kind of introduce myself a little bit to you a little bit more. Oh, and I see DeKalb, Illinois in the chat. Hi, Illinois. As for me, I am new to procurement, but I've been in similar roles with other organizations as a CEO for a long time. So I come from the association space. I've been an association professional for the last 25 years. And I spent the majority of that time as a CEO. And so I became a CEO for the first time 24 years ago in 2002. And my last CEO role was with Illinois Park and Recreation Association. And so just like NIGP, all of my members there were local government professionals, just like yourselves. And so for me, NIGP has a lot of commonality with the role that I did there for 9 years. I also started in my career early on as a state and federal lobbyist. So I worked and interacted with a lot of government leaders. And I started before all of that as a government employee myself. So I worked for Illinois Governor's Office on the policy staff. And most recently, I was a consultant. I worked with over 100 associations of varying sizes up to about $150, $160 million annual budgets. And I consulted on governance, strategy, DEI, ethics. I love ethics. I know many of you do as well. And I currently serve as board chair for the National Association of Park Foundations. So they are the organization that supports the charitable arm of local government parks. And so they expand the budget capacity of those local government parks. And so this is something that I've been a part of since 2018. I'm very proud to serve as board chair. And so again, this is something that I can do to show my commitment to local government and to serving community. And so I've also been a board member and board chair of several other organizations. My training is as a social worker. So I have a bachelor's and master's in social work. I'm also a certified association executive. I also have a certificate in nonprofit management. I also have a certificate in HR, and I'm a fellow of ASAE. So that's just a little bit about me as we begin to get to know each other. So what brought me to NIGP? As I started to say, it feels a lot like coming home for me. I so enjoy the 9 years I spent where I was serving government professionals like yourselves. And so for me, NIGP, when I first read the job ad, I thought this is exactly the kind of work that I've been a part of, that I really enjoyed. It feels like the perfect match for me because it's serving people like yourselves who share my values, who share my commitment to public service. And so for me, your mission is a perfect match, again, for who I am and what I care about. I believe in the power of community and in advancing the public good. And further, why NIGP? Why now? I had the experience in doing all of the things that NIGP does. So I've been the CEO of organizations with similar conferences and even substantially larger conferences. I've been a part of organizations where, just like NIGP, they were all education all the time. So doing career development programs, leadership development programs. I've served global organizations with chapters all over the world. So I have all sorts of experiences that are parallel to the kind of structure that NIGP has. So when I think about my vision for NIGP for these next several years, really it kind of starts by let's build on the good that we have. I see NIGP as already being in a really powerful place. So we are starting from good. So from here, we can just evolve to be even better. And so the way I want to do that is to start by really modernizing our volunteer engagement and deepening our impact across the profession. I want to focus on inspiring the next generation of professionals to really see public procurement as a calling. I want to position us to have that thriving, buzzing, future-focused professional home for public procurement professionals. And I want to focus in on supporting belonging and growth and being here to support you in every stage of your career and to really build a lot of pride in this profession and to deepen the culture that this membership community has. So the first thing that I want to talk about today, and this is a direct correlation to kicking off Procurement Month, is I really want to talk about changing the way that we talk about this profession. When I first came into this role and I started in late October, it seemed like every single person I talked to described how they came to this profession the same way. And everybody said the same thing. I fell into procurement. And I understand why you say that. There's no major in public procurement. You didn't grow up as a 10-year-old saying, Mom, Dad, I want to be a public procurement professional. I completely understand why you say you fell into procurement. I myself am a association professional. I did not grow up saying, Mom, Dad, I want to be an association professional. And there's no major in that either. So I understand why you say it. But as someone new to your community, this is what you sound like to me when you say that, right? It sounds like you have tripped and fell into something and you can't get out of it, right? It seems like something bad happened to you and now you're stuck here. Is that how you want to describe this great career? I suspect that you don't mean to sound that way, but as someone new to your community, every time I hear I fell into procurement, this is what I think of. And so what I want to share with you is this. This is how I see you as someone new to your community. I want to describe to you how I see you. I think that because of you in public procurement, you are building communities. You are behind the work of building all of these communities. That because of you, children can go to school and get educated and move up in their lives and change their lives through education. That because of you, communities can build infrastructure where people can go to work. And because of you and people going to work, we have an economy that thrives. That because of you, people can drive and people can get on the streets. And that means that people can come together both as communities, but as families. Because of you, people can be with their family for the holiday. That's the importance of the work that you do. That because of you, you are the foundations for a thriving community. Because of you, all of these things happen. Because of you, our first responders have the equipment that they need to save lives when we need them the most. And our communities can depend on them because of you. That because of you, our doctors, our nurses, our medical professionals have the equipment that they need so that we can rely on them when we are sick, when we are injured, when we are dying, and you make them able to be there for us again when we need them the most. So why, if that's how I see you, are you describing yourselves to me like an injury or an accident? If I see you as being so critically important, why would you minimize the value of the great work that you do by saying you don't even really know how you got here? You fell into it. And so that's why it's so important that we change the way we talk about this great career. When we devalue how we got here, it minimizes the value of the work that we do. And so instead, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about discovery. I've worked in other associations, other fields where they also don't have a major that directly leads into the field. And for them, they talk about it as a discovery field. They talk about it as I discovered myself in this profession, or I discovered this job on a job board, but we call it a discovery profession or a discovery field. And if you were to say, instead of I fell into procurement 20 years ago, instead I discovered it 20 years ago, doesn't that change the way it sounds to the listener? Now it begins to sound like innovation and technology. It sounds like you have something special going on that someone else should be really jealous of. You have something special. And so that's how we're trying to begin to change the way that we talk about this profession. It is a discovery profession. We don't fall into procurement, we discovered it and we choose it every day. And when you say that you choose procurement every day, it means that you have control over your career, over your future. When you choose procurement every day, it means that you can choose your career advancement. It means that you can choose certifications and professional development. You can choose to be a leader in this field. You can choose to be a leader in your chapter. You can choose to be a leader in NIGP at the national level. It means that you can choose the direction in your life. But when you say you fell into it, it sounds like, again, it's an accident, like you have no control. And so when you say you discovered it and you choose it every day, it means that you are taking control of your career and your future. And so this year, as we kick off Procurement Month, it is with that theme in mind. The path that found us, the profession we chose. And so this year, it is all about having pride in this profession. It is all about giving a celebration back to you for this great career that you chose. And I now, as someone new to your field, I choose it every day, right alongside you. And so here's a little bit more of our theming: discovered with purpose, chosen with pride. So just last night, I went to my own LinkedIn page. I tagged NIGP, so you can get to it either way. And I asked that now, as we are celebrating Procurement Month, I am asking that you go to my LinkedIn page or NIGP's and that you post the reasons why you are proud to be a part of this profession. Share your comments, how you didn't fall into it, but how you discovered it and why you choose it every day. So I am hoping that you will share those stories on LinkedIn, or you can share on your own page and just tag NIGP. And I'm hoping that we can share some of your comments in an upcoming newsletter. And so again, I just really want to hear from you. What makes you proud to be a procurement professional? I can't wait to see all of your comments and stories. And I hope that this is part of how you celebrate Procurement Month this year. So here's a little bit more about how we're celebrating this year as a part of this theme: discovered with purpose, chosen with pride, from discovery to dedication, more than a job, a calling, a path that found us, the profession we chose. This is all about, again, taking ownership of this great career and saying that, again, I choose this every day. And by it being something we choose, it means that we can choose the way that we advance in this career. The leadership development, the professional development, the certifications, we choose this career and we choose how we advance in this career. And so again, as we look at how we celebrate Procurement Month this year, we are building on our tradition, building on the great history that NIGP has had for these last 81 years. And we are trying to create this new inspirational narrative and bringing more pride to this profession. And so we're doing a lot of recognition this year. We're centering around the stories of our members, which is, again, part of why I want to hear why you choose this profession every day. And we're talking about this new era for NIGP. You're going to hear more about that as I keep going on in this slide presentation. And we're really looking ahead about how we're going to bring new people into this profession. Because again, if we just fall into it, if it's an accident, then how do we go recruit new people into something that is an accident? But if we instead talk about choosing something that is meaningful and important, now we can go and recruit the next generation to join you in this career. So I wanted to give you some ideas. 10 ways to celebrate Procurement Month this year. So you can show your pride on social media. You can tell your stories, like I've been saying, or you can post a little 30-second video and share that on LinkedIn. You can pursue your professional development. You can attend a webinar like this one. I'm also going to refer to one or two others during the slide deck today. Or you can host a lunch and learn for other related departments in your organization and help them understand what procurement really does. We all know that some of your related teams don't really get it, and so you can help them learn and understand. You could also maybe host some internal awards at your organization. You could give awards to people related to or within the procurement department. You could also have an award for a supplier partner. There's all sorts of different ways that through procurement you can show recognition. You can also post things throughout Procurement Month and tag us. Oh, I see somebody posted in the chat they're going to go to their kid's school during Career Day. That is so exciting. I love it. You can also do community give back programs where maybe you partner with a local nonprofit and you volunteer together as a team to show that you are a part of public service and giving back to your community. Maybe you do things like engaging with that next generation. Maybe you have a little video that you talk about why you chose this career. Or maybe you go and you host an event at your local high school or your local college. Maybe you do a little day in the life video where you talk about what does it really look like or what does it mean to be a procurement professional? What do you do? And help to demystify the profession. Maybe you talk to local elected officials or government professionals and you help them to understand the impact that you make every day in your community as a procurement professional. And you highlight the innovation and the impact that you make. Or you host a roundtable discussion on things like ethics and transparency and the stewardship of taxpayer dollars. These are all ways that you can celebrate Procurement Month this year in a way that is meaningful and long lasting. But now I want to go on from Procurement Month and I want to share with you a little bit more about my vision for NIGP for these coming years. And so the first thing that I want to talk about is how I want to really ignite that thriving, buzzing community around the members. And so for me, one of my core philosophies is always start with listening. So in fact, I've been doing some sessions sitting with chapter leaders, and anyone who's been in those sessions knows that one of the first things I say is, how can we serve you better? This is your time to tell me what you want me to know. And so again, I'm a huge believer on it is my job to start with listening. It is my job to serve you, the members, as your CEO. I work for you. And so I start with listening. I like to hear from the members. I do a lot of surveys, opportunities to hear from the members, and then use that feedback to build strategy. Oh, I love the stories I'm seeing in the chat box about talking with schools. Wonderful. And so as a part of hearing from members, again, I like to do focus groups, surveys, all sorts of different ways so that you, the members, can tell me what you want to see NIGP doing so that we can adjust our strategy with you in mind. I also intend to double down on member benefits and really strengthen what it is that you get from NIGP for being a member. We're also going to be making some minor adjustments to the dues structure so that we bring more equity really to the dues structure. And we want to, again, really use data to customize member benefits by segment. So we're going to be doing things like, again, increasing the value for what you get for your dues, adjusting dues to be more equitable, and then giving you some additional free member benefits. So you have to be a member, and then once you are, you will receive even more for your dues dollars. But ultimately, the goal here is to really build a culture within the membership where the members are the best recruiters, because the value of membership is undeniable, where we as staff don't have to go out and recruit, sell people on something. Instead, it's you all telling your friends as the ambassadors about this great thing that you're a part of because it's honest and true. And that is the way that we grow our organization. That to me is our intention. Further, from a volunteer side, I want to be doing more to explore more micro volunteering so that there's more opportunities for people to serve in a variety of ways. There is a change in language that started, gosh, nearly 10 years ago in the association space, where we don't talk about volunteering in the same way. Instead, we think of those roles, serving on committees, boards, et cetera. Instead of volunteering, we talk about it as connection or engagement, because we recognize that if you serve on a committee, you're not just doing the association a favor, let's say. Instead, you are benefiting from it, as are we. You are benefiting from it in the way of leadership development and networking and experience and connection. So if that is something that benefits you as well as NIGP, then don't we want as many people as possible to experience that connection, that opportunity? And so we want there to be opportunities for a wide variety of access points for people to connect to NIGP if they want to. And so we will be creating all sorts of new micro volunteering opportunities, flexible entry points to access, etc. We're also going to build on the work that was initiated a year or two ago with special interest groups, aka SIGs. There are three of them, and they sort of launched, but they didn't really get going fully. And so I've already begun those conversations with those SIG leaders to kind of relaunch them and to hopefully build them into something that will be a key part of your member benefits, your member experience, communities that will be there for you to really help you connect with other people in the membership who do what you do in a more specific way, to be there to ask questions to get more customized education with, etc. We also want to make sure that as we look at our volunteer structure for all the ways that I just described, it's about connecting and engaging. We want to make sure that we don't have any barriers to participation. We want to make sure that we're really tightly looking at our volunteer structure to make sure that we have the right kinds of terms, term limits, onboarding, training for volunteers, opportunities, so that, again, we can make sure that anybody who wants to volunteer, anybody who wants to connect, has that opportunity. And so we have to make sure that we are moving people through the structure, moving people through the system. And so we have to make sure that there are terms and term limits to allow for that flowing through the structure to make room for as many people as possible. The next thing I really want to do as a part of my vision for NIGP is to build the relationships with chapters, partners, and affiliates. And I mentioned at the beginning of this session that in some of my former CEO roles, I worked with, dozens, many dozens of chapters globally. So chapters are something that for me is really critical to the health and the well-being of NIGP. And so for me, when NIGP and our chapters are united by one purpose, when we move together, we make the biggest impact. But let me be clear, that is not NIGP telling the chapters what to do, saying, let's move together, do what I say. That is not my vision at all. Instead, it is for us to come together as partners and to say, how can we serve you better? How can we have a true relationship together where we can help you, the chapters, and the chapters can be in more of a collaboration with us, truly as partners, and to strengthen that relationship, to strengthen that trust, and to find ways to support each other more, truly and equally. And so we want to build, again, the trust, the relationship, the transparency. And so we've been meeting with many chapter leaders over the last few months to hear from chapters, listen to what they need, find out what challenges or goals they have, and find ways that NIGP can do more for these chapters to be better partners for them. I also want to make sure that we are building partnerships and relationships with all of our affiliates and other associations, other partners like us in this space. And so we want to find out where we have some shared alignment, shared goals, create some true partnership opportunities, and really work with each one of these other organizations to see, well, what can we work on together? I'm a huge proponent of partnerships. I think that partnerships can add our capacity. So we can say, hey, if you were going to do this certificate and we were going to do this certificate, let's do it together so that we don't duplicate efforts. If we were going to do this webinar and you were going to do this webinar, let's do it together so that we can have one speaker and one opportunity, and let's just build out a really great program together, for example. Or with prior organizations I've been a part of, let's have one grant program to serve communities in a specific way. Or let's have one scholarship program that we all fundraise for and support lots of people in a specific way. There's all sorts of different ways that we can partner as long as we come together with shared goals and alignment where we truly listen to each other and find out where we can support each other. And sometimes a partnership is 50-50, and sometimes it's 90-10, where we say, we're going to do this anyway. And if you want to be a part of it with us, feel free, but we're going to do it one way or another. And that's okay too, because sometimes it's 90-10 us, and sometimes it's 90-10 our partner, and that's all okay. Yes, there's a question in the chat about the current partnership between NIGP and NASPO and UPPCC. What I can tell you is that there are meetings happening. In fact, I'm meeting with NASPO in the next week or so. And so I don't really have an update today, but I can tell you that there are meetings happening. Okay, so the next area that I can share with you in terms of my vision for NIGP for the next few years is really focusing on lifelong learning and career advancement. Now, you heard at the beginning of the session when I was talking about pride in the profession and having control over our own careers, you heard how passionate I am about career development and professional development. So you knew that this was going to be a part of it. So for me, I have certificates and I have certifications and letters after my name and all of that. So for me, this is something where I walk the walk. This has been a part of my career throughout. And so it is something that I believe fully that not only should our members get to experience and have access to, I also believe in this for NIGP staff, that we too have to walk the walk. If we expect our members to get certified and pursue professional development, we also as staff have to behave in the same way and show that we prioritize the same thing. And so that's something that I'm going to be somebody is asking, will you have access to the slides and recording later? Yes, you will. So that we as staff have to behave in the same way and prioritize the same thing. So we as NIGP will be supporting a wide variety of lifelong learning for procurement professionals at all career stages. So for us, that means that we have to have professional development for early career professionals, for mid-level career professionals, and for advanced career professionals in a variety of different directions, because we know that you're not all the same. And so we have to have a lot of different specific needs that we're trying to meet at the same time. And so we're going to be doing things to evaluate our current programs, use technology and AI to personalize different learning pathways, and to formalize our mentoring program to really complement our existing learning pathways. We also, as a part of lifelong learning, are going to be focusing on both skill building, so things where we are talking about technical skills in procurement, as well as leadership development. So things where we are talking about how to be a strong leader, critical thinking, kind of those more broader skills that help you as you advance throughout your career. We're also going to be doing things on the earlier career side. So things that we're going to be doing to advance and grow our internship program and help employers who want to have interns give you the toolkits that you need and post internship jobs on our job board and all of those things. And then we're also going to be doing a heck of a lot coming up with academic partnerships with universities. Because if we want to bring in that next generation of professionals in this space, we have to connect more with our university partners. And so I've already begun that process, and we're going to be doing, like I said, a heck of a lot more of it. So in my former roles as CEO, I've had kind of, you name it, a wide variety of academic partnerships. So we've partnered on research, we've partnered on research on having certificates together with different universities. We've partnered on having universities sign off on the curriculum for different programs through the association, all sorts of different things. So the sky's the limit. There are so many different ways that we can partner with universities. But as a part of all of this, for me, I truly believe my core philosophy here is that NIGP is here to serve you in your career and provide you with professional development. And that only works if at the same time we are expanding our scholarship program to make those programs as accessible to you as possible. And so, yes, we are going to keep providing more professional development and more customized professional development and having a high quality professional development program. But again, also, we have to make sure that it is accessible for those who don't have agency funding or for those who can't afford it. So even though we have given away $1 million in scholarships in the last 6 years, which is amazing, it is still my core philosophy that we expand that even more to make these programs even more accessible. So Sourcewell has done a great job of being a part of that. And a couple of other vendors are now coming on board to help us with that. But we will be expanding that program even more in the next few years. And I see Danielle in the chat has talked about her mentor and what a great program that was. I am so glad to hear that, Danielle. Mentoring is something that I feel very strongly about. I've been a mentor both formally and informally through several programs, and I have a kind of a pile of mentors that I've worked with over the last several years. And so as a part of that professional development, I do want to make sure that you know that registration is open for VCon coming up. So make sure that you are registering and attending that. That is a virtual conference, April 28th through 30th. And so I know it's going to be a great program this year, and I hope that you're a part of it. I also want to focus in on some of our other current professional development offerings. We do have free webinars happening in Procurement Month here. So you'll see a couple of those listed on the left and some on-demands that are discounted as we celebrate Procurement Month. And I see someone else posting in the chat about their experience having been a mentor. And Terry, I absolutely agree. I love mentoring others. It is so rewarding. And so here I want you to see some of our webinars that we're doing this month. Of course, it starts with the one we're doing today. You can check that off your list, but you can see here's the list of some of our others that we're doing this month, again, as we celebrate Procurement Month. There are so many things that we are doing to try to support you in your career and to give you some education and support during this month. There are also these learning labs that we're doing. And so again, I encourage you to sign up for these and to use these to advance your skills and through that advance your career. NIGP is all education all the time. There is always an opportunity for you to learn more and use your skills to advance in your career through NIGP. And although I have a great vision for the future, I can tell you NIGP has always done a great job of that, and that's not going to change. We're just going to keep doing better and better, more and more, building off the great foundation that we have. As a part of building career advancement and professional development is, of course, certification. But one thing I've noticed as I've talked to members is there's a little bit of a disconnect in the way that individual members are still talking about certification. I've heard things from members like, I don't need to be certified because there's no opportunity for a promotion here. And I kind of scratch my head and say, wait, what? Certification is not about getting that one next promotion or that one next raise. It might help you get that next raise or promotion. It might, but that's not why you do it. You do it because it changes your entire career trajectory. It changes your entire long-term plan. It changes the way you think about yourself. It changes the way other people in your organization see you. So even if you get certified and you don't immediately get a promotion because the person above you isn't going anywhere, it might mean that other opportunities in your organization open up to you. It might mean that down the road, you might lose your job, but now you are qualified for a whole different set of jobs when you need to find something different in the future. It just changes everything. It changes, again, your confidence. So again, I am certified as an association executive. I have been since 2008. I'm a strong believer in certification. And I want you to know that these tests, these certifications are hard, and they're hard for a reason. They're hard so that when you succeed, it means something. So that when you have that certification and you're on a pile of resumes and you're the one that is certified, that makes the employer see you differently because you did something hard, right? And so I just want you to think about that. If you are considering certification, it's hard for a reason. It's not about that next raise or promotion. It's about your entire career. And so I hope that you consider that. There's a question in the chat here about does NIGP provide support for masters or bachelors? I don't believe we currently do, and that might be something that we consider in the future. But again, I believe our scholarships right now are for professional development. So I want to yes, and I see a comment in the chat about volunteering on a standard setting committee gave this person appreciation for the rigors of exams. Yeah, again, the exams are hard, but they're hard so that when you pass, it sets you aside from others. They're hard for a reason. And here we're talking again about certification that nearly 8 out of 10 NIGP CPPs agree it has increased their knowledge and decision making as a leader. And there's a question in the chat, do we offer project management certification? No, we don't currently. I do know some of our members have that from other entities. I also want to chat a little bit here about I'm just checking my time here. I want to chat a little bit about this other program that we had called Career Concierge. And so what this program does through NIGP is it helps you make your plan for your professional development to match your career goals. And so this program is not new. But and Todd has said in the chat, we're building a a project management track for Forum and expanding in this area. So thank you, Todd. And so Career Concierge is a way that you can say, well, this is where I am in my career and this is where I'm trying to go. So what are the steps that I need to take to get there? What's the education that I need? How do I access that? All of those different things to get from point A to point B in your career. Now, as we move forward, my vision for Career Concierge is to bring into it more connections to other programs that we have. So to layer into that things like, and if you can't afford that next education, let's connect you with the scholarship program. Or as you advance in your career, let's connect you with the mentoring program. And so I think that we're going to be building this program out even more. But again, right now, it is already a great program and it will help you to give you a customized, personalized plan to show you how you move up in your career. And then someone has posted in the chat, recently got certified for the credibility in the field and increasing opportunities. Great. Um, and someone says, thank you for providing the valuable resources. I'm glad that this is helpful. And then I also want to point out to you as a part of our leadership development programs that we do have this great mentoring program. I've already spoken about how much I personally stand behind mentoring programs. Mentoring was a huge part of helping me in my early career days. And so it has been something that for me, I have always been a part of giving back to. So I've been a mentor for many years, and as I said, for many different individual mentees. And it's something that even when I'm busy as a CEO, I always prioritize and make time for as a mentor and for giving back. And so for you, if this is a program where you can give some of your time as a mentor, I encourage you to do so. Again, even when we're busy, it is something that is still so important that we spend our time on, or that you participate as a mentee. It's something that can really change an individual's career. And again, it's just such an important program. And then we also have some new on-demand educational programs. And so again, I want to just put this out here and make sure that you know it's available to you. Okay, so I want to share with you, great, I'm just checking my time a little bit here. I want to share with you what might be the more, let's go with controversial or thought-provoking part of this session, which is about revenue development. And what I want to do here as part of my vision for NIGP in terms of revenue growth. So I've already kind of laid it out there that it's going to be a little controversial. And so hopefully I've got your attention. And so again, core philosophy here, I come from an association background, a nonprofit association background. All associations are nonprofits. And so my view of how we increase revenue, how we make money is from that nonprofit background. So what I believe is that we don't just make money across the board, but that instead we have areas where we strategically lose money. These are member investment programs or mission-driven programs. So we say, you know, this program over here, this we're going to lose money on this every year because it is an investment in the future generation of professionals, or it is an investment in the mission, or it is an investment in public awareness about the field, or whatever it might be. So we're going to lose money in a really intentional way. But that means that there have to be other areas where they are dynamic areas of revenue growth because they are subsidizing those mission-driven programs. So again, what I'm saying here is some areas we lose money and some areas have to make like twice as much money to pay for that. And so that's kind of that nonprofit revenue model. So my big goal for Forum is to grow Forum, this is the controversial part, to 10,000 people in the next 7 years. And we're starting at 1,500 in-person attendees right now. And what I expect is we might actually get smaller before we get bigger, just because of some of the budget restraints that I know that you have. And so 10,000 is a big number. It is a what Jim Collins calls a big, hairy, audacious goal. But I truly believe that we have the structure in place to get us there. 10,000 attendees 7 years from now, starting at 1,500. My last organization where I was CEO, we had 3,000 members and 4,500 at conference. NIGP has 19,500 members and 1,500 at conference. Do you see the difference here? We had more attendees than we had members. And NIGP has, relatively speaking, a tiny percentage of our members attending conference. So I think we have the numbers to get us there. So let me talk about how we get there and why it matters, and what it does for our community. And the question in the chat, are there venues that can accommodate? Yes, yes, there are. It does limit us, but yes, there are venues that can do that. So how do we get us there? Well, a key part of developing Forum into a conference of this size is to give more people a role in planning and participating hands-on in conference. And so when we give people a way to say, I planned it, they're more likely to come because they feel like this is their own. Right? So if you are the individuals volunteering and you are the one hosting a speed mentoring session hosted by a specific group of volunteers, or we have special interest groups who are planning tracks at conference. So we have multiple people who have their hand in planning the curriculum at conference. Or there's a fundraising event where we are raising revenue for the scholarship program, and that's done by a specific group of volunteers. Or we have a resume workshop that is hosted by a group of volunteers to support early careerists. Or we have a committee planning a certain program, or we have a committee hosting a certain social, or whatever it might be. All of these things give more and more and more volunteers a way to say, I planned it. This conference is my own, right? I have my hand in the workings of this event. It is mine. And so all of these things are a way to make conference something that you feel you are personally connected to. And that's one of the key ways that we will grow it, because we will make it yours. Tracy asked in the chat, well, does this crazy goal of mine include VCon? Nope, just the in-person number for Forum. Another way that we will grow Forum is to develop that sense of feeling in the know. And so we want to give attendees at Forum the sense that if they go to Forum, they get access to information beyond just the education. So we want to have people know that if they go to Forum, they get to know who won the awards. So I want to make more of them a surprise. We want to have the annual member meeting held at Forum, so that if you go to Forum, you get updates on the strategic plan and our finances, and you get to find out who the new board members are, and who achieved their certifications, and who got the scholarships, and who is doing all of the big important achievements in the field. You want to know that if you go to Forum, you get to know. And so we want to develop, again, that sense of feeling in the know as a member of this community. Again, that sense that Forum is yours. You are a part of it. So by going, you should feel like you're a member of the community, so you know what's going on. And further, we want to build out Forum as the true hub of our community, the center of everything that we do. So our committees, our councils, our board will ultimately shift, or many of them will shift, to have their in-person meetings at Forum. Maybe not all of them will have the right timing to do so, but many of them will shift their in-person meetings to meet at Forum. We want to have probably a fundraising event to expand our scholarship program, to have an event at Forum. We want to have events to support our students and early careerists at Forum. I shared with you that I've had different university partnerships. One of the things that my former association used to do is we'd have these big university socials at conference, and we had like 9 of them where universities that fed into the field would host, sometimes at a restaurant nearby, sometimes in a room on site at conference, but they would host a student and alumni and faculty social at conference. So for the alumni, this was homecoming. This was, oh, I'm going to go back and see all my friends who went to that same school. For the students, this was a way of saying, I get to go meet with the alumni and share my resume and maybe get an internship or maybe get a job. So these were really, really popular events. But again, if you go to social or if you go to forum, you might get to be in a homecoming situation. You might get to see all of your friends from school, right? Or maybe there might be an affiliate group like Texpo or FAPO or CAPO, that's Texas, California, and Florida, maybe having a social for all of their attendees at Forum. Maybe we want to see all of the different chapters wearing like a chapter shirt for one day, like Spirit Day at Forum, so that all the chapters can represent. Maybe we want to have like research poster sessions so that all of the university partners can highlight all of the great work being done in the research side of our field. And then all of the other attendees can go and find out what that research is and bring it back to your community, right? All of these different things can really add ways that we can advance the sense of community, bring together all of the different arms of our community, center it at Forum, and add to the credibility of Forum by adding the research as well. Um, I'm looking at the chat. Okay, Todd is answering in person. Excellent. Good. Okay. Oh, and I also thought I'd share this picture here is from my former association's conference. So the socials too have to be really a big deal. They have to be fun. We have to make sure that as we build Forum, that we make it a experience that you will remember. So this is from my former conference where we rented out the House of Blues, had a band that was touring, like they were on Ticketmaster and we bought all the tickets. And we had open bar, open food, bussed everybody there, bussed everybody back. It was awesome. So, I share this with you to give you a sense that I'm not going to take away the fun parts. I'm going to highlight the fun parts. So when we build Forum to be 10,000 in-person attendees, in order to do that, we have to build the community, right? I talked all about how we build all of the community around this idea. And to do that, we have to connect everything that we do to Forum, the committees, the councils, the scholarships, all of these things, the universities, the chapters, connect everything we do back to Forum. We have to have more volunteers engaged in the event. So that's what I talked about. We have to make it yours, that you have a hand in, that you plan a little piece of, so that you know that this is your community, your event, your professional home that you have a say in. And then this again has to be the members' event. Again, your professional home, the center of everything in NIGP, everything in our community comes back to be centered at Forum. And so with that in mind, of course, I have to remind you that registration is now open. And you might notice that the theme is a new era, where the future of public procurement takes shape. So again, this kind of fits with some of the things that we've been talking about. Now, it is in Columbus, Ohio. And one of the things that I am most excited about with Columbus, Ohio, is that it is a drivable distance. We checked this. It is a drivable distance for 5,000 of our members. So I am encouraging, as I talk to different chapter leaders, for many of our chapters, you could like get in a bus and drive there together. You can make the networking start in your home state, get a bus, drive there together, and have like a party bus with your chapter, so that by the time you get to Forum, you are already tightly connected, bonded, having a great time. You know people so that you are not walking in alone. This sounds like a great experience. I actually did that kind of program again with a former association. So why not? As someone said in the chat, let's carpool, right? This sounds great. Not to mention Columbus, Ohio is a really wonderful location. There's a world-renowned zoo there. I mean, it's going to be great. So I hope to see you in Columbus, Ohio. I'm going to be there, so I hope to meet you there. But here's some of the why. Now, this is way too many words, but let me just walk you through it. When forum attendance increases, that increases the traffic in the expo hall. So more sponsors and exhibitors will want to be there. So then that revenue will increase. And when we have more revenue from sponsorships and exhibits, that will increase funding for scholarships, which will make forum more accessible to more people. And usually, with most associations, the number one reason people pay their dues is to get the member discounted conference. So when we have more attendees, there will be more members. And when we have more members, there will be more people seeing our marketing. So we will increase registration for educational programs and certifications. And when we have more members and when we have more people with their hands involved in things at conference as volunteers, member retention will increase because involvement is loyalty. It's hard to not renew with an organization that you're actively involved with. And so all of this will increase the size of NIGP, give us more members, give us more volunteers, give us more people, more everybody doing all of the things, if you will. And that will give us more revenue. And why does that matter? What is the point? It isn't that I want to grow us for the sake of growing us. That is not the point. It is that when we grow revenue, we can subsidize. Remember, I talked about where we grow revenue and why. It's so that we can subsidize our areas of the budget so that we can improve the member experience, invest in the mission, invest in the members, bring in that new next generation of professionals, and help us to live our values more fully because we'll have the funds to do so. And so it's through everything that I've just talked about that we build our community, and that is how we evolve. So this plan is how we become the new NIGP. This is the new era of NIGP. It is focusing on building our community and doing that as volunteers who have a say, who have an opportunity to engage and connect. That's how we become the new NIGP. And I see all of the communication in the chat. There's a lot of interest in Chicago and West Coast. I'm going to believe here that other staff are going to respond to some of those specific questions. But I want to move on to the last piece here that I want to talk about in terms of my vision for NIGP. And that is supporting our profession through research and publications. So first, I want to speak to, we've got some publications, relatively new publications that are out there today. So I want to make sure that you know that they are out there. Understanding the full cost of procurement and proposals, optimizing procurement and tariffs. So there's some great stuff out there already. We also have several blogs. So there are these that are out there. Feels a little weird seeing my own face on a slide, but I do have a monthly blog. We just started it in January. So if you want to know what's going on, it is called Discover What's Next with Debbie. And now you know what discover means in that context. So they do come out every month. And I do post them again on my personal LinkedIn. We also post them on the NIGP site. But in that newsletter blog, I talk about what I'm doing, what's going on, what we're working on, where I've been, where I'm going, all of those things. So if you want kind of the executive summary of what's going on, that's a great way to get it. And we're also going to be starting another blog. Um, Me and a couple of other of my colleagues on the staff side just started the conversations about it this week. And so that's going to be featuring some of the research in the field. So there is a lot going on, but I encourage you to read all of these different types of publications that are available to you. Excellent. Okay, so I want to spend several minutes on this publication. Um, and this one is the most recent publication. It's very exciting. And of course, it ties to Procurement Month. And that's why I'm talking about it last. So this is the state of the public procurement profession. And this just came out a few weeks ago. And we are going to be spending quite a lot of time over the next month as we celebrate Procurement Month. There's the words, really featuring some of the highlights of this publication. So the publication is, of course, free. It's on the website. The link is there. So I encourage you to take a look at it. And it was created by the Center for Advancement of Research and Excellence, what we call CARE, our research arm. And so, again, I strongly encourage you to take a look at it. And so I want to kind of share with you some of the highlights. So one of the things that we're seeing from the research here is that the profession has really shifted over time from being that transactional kind of buying and purchasing to really being more about strategy and resilience and public value. Now, you all know that you're living it every day, but the research really supports that. And so, that might be something that as you are working with your supervisors, as you are educating your government officials, your legislators, your finance officers, that this is something you can take back to them and really say, this is really what procurement professionals do. And so you can talk about how you are, as a profession, increasing your strategic influence, and that as a profession, the procurement field has saved over $111 billion federally over the last 12 years. And you can talk about some of the case studies in this profession that show procurement leaders shaping policy and not just implementing or executing it. And so again, these kinds of things coming out of the research gives you the tools and the resources that you can take back to the people around you in your department to say, this is what we do for a living. This is who we are as procurement professionals. We are not just here to manage a contract or to make a purchase. We are here as strategic leaders, shaping policy and advancing public policy and stewarding taxpayer dollars. And when you can show them the evidence, show them the research, you can change the conversation. And so that this is why the research is so important. And again, you can talk about policy alignment, economic impact. I also want to talk about some of the cross-cutting themes here that came out of the publication. What we see coming out of the publication, some of the main themes, compliance and risk management. So, this publication is about what happened in 2025. And so, we all know that in January of 2025, there were executive orders about DEI. And so for procurement professionals, this kind of created some challenges about what you can do related to what the federal law tells you, what the state law tells you, what local and municipal law tells you. And so this kind of got into some challenges, some conflicts, right? And so, as we look at compliance and risk management with that context in mind, we're seeing things like the legal review of these templates and evaluating what language we can or cannot use related to DEI. We're looking at things like increasing documentation to demonstrate federal conformity. So what do we have to put in the documentation to prove that we are in compliance? And then updating ethics and compliance programs. So all of these different things where we're trying to demonstrate that we are now following federal law, even federal law that has changed. And then the next cross-cutting theme is the cultural and workforce impacts. So again, we're talking a little bit about DEI. So DEI initiatives that have been reduced, rolled back, reframed, where we're changing the language. And so what does that mean for procurement professionals? Supplier diversity training is shifting now towards more general ethics as a focus area. Changing organizational culture. And again, what does that mean for workforce programs? And then lower engagement reported around some small and emerging vendors. So again, what does this mean for you, for your department? As we look at operational reframing, once again, we have a connection to DEI. So there is a shift from equity to access and transparency. So again, not only a shift in language, but a shift in focus area in how we are really thinking about things. And then now a focus on things like fair competition and small business participation, open solicitation. So all of these different things now are where procurement is spending their time and energy focusing on, really instead of some of the more traditional DEI focus areas that procurement was in before. And then the next area is technology and data analytics. So the expanded use of those e-procurement systems, I know that you all use those all the time, and the increased reliance on dashboards and analysis. Again, you know better than I do that there is this increase on the technology and the use of data and objective monitoring of all of these different things, participation, the performance, the data again, and the data replacing the more qualitative measures that were being used before. So using hard data instead of qualitative data. And then finally, the last cross-cutting theme as it comes out of this publication, this research, is policy divergence and uncertainty. So rapidly evolving state and federal directives that are sometimes in conflict. We know that sometimes the state and the federal law lead you into opposing directions. Ongoing legal interpretation and court challenges. So again, for you all who have to follow the law very, very closely, sometimes the law is still in constant flux as we follow legal interpretation and court rulings. And then the potential litigation over some of these things and the tension between federal law and civil rights obligations and that kind of thing. So again, you can see in 2025, there was really a lot of shifts in the way things were being done and the focus areas of this field, much of which was impacted by DEI, and then probably a lot of this item 4 technology. Probably a lot of this is coming from technology use and hard data use, but specifically, I think in 2026, we're going to see more of a focus on AI. Okay, and then as we move on to some additional pieces of this research, we also see that the profession shows some salary growth and improving retention of professionals in this space. And we see that certifications are widely valued, which is great, and linked to compensation premiums. So again, we see the value that certification has for this field. And we also see, as again, many of you are living that impending retirements and workforce capacity is creating some urgency with succession planning and leadership development. So, for me, many of the high level, macro level kinds of conversations I'm having are about this sweeping retirement phase that we're going through and how that is pushing people upwards in their career. And so, from an NIGP strategy perspective, it's how will we as an association ensure that we are giving people all of the resources they need to be prepared for these leadership roles as they are moved into them, sometimes without a lot of preparation. So it's our job to really give you the tools that you need in case you're not prepared so that you have what you need to be successful. And I see in the chat there were a couple of questions. Looks like Todd and others responded to it. I see that the last comment here is attending forum is sometimes unrealistic because we don't have a budget. You are not alone in that, and that's why I feel so strongly about scholarships. So I am hoping that we can expand scholarships to make it more accessible for folks like yourself. You are not the only one in that situation. So coming out of the research again, where we talk about skills for development moving forward, really kind of comes into these three categories: technical skills, strategic skills, and leadership skills. So as we look at the technical skills, it's going to be very much focused on things like data and AI and contract analytics, and then a little bit of ESG. And then under strategic, it's going to be things like risk management, category management, policy interpretation. Policy interpretation is probably initially going to have a lot to do with how we manage the discrepancies between state, federal, and local policy and law. And over time, I think it's going to be because um, procurement professionals are now being asked to do more as policy governance strategists. I think you're going to be expected to have a deeper understanding of policy. So you're going to need to really be able to interpret it at a very high level. And then in the last category here is leadership. So emotional intelligence. So as AI evolves, the way that we differentiate ourselves as professionals in this new era is our humanity. So that's the emotional intelligence side. So as more and more things are done by computers, it's how we show up as humans that make us successful. So there's that. And then cross-functional collaboration. So how we work with other departments, how we work with the finance team and the IT team and all of those things, how we manage through change. Because the one thing that is always certain is change, and then ethics. I think we all know that ethics is incredibly important in the procurement space. And so it's how we make sure that we continue to prioritize that and how we make sure that it is always the center of everything that we do. I shared at the beginning of today's time together that ethics has been a through line in my career. And that's one of the reasons I came to work for NIGP. For me, ethics is, I served on national ethics committees dating back to 2014. I served as an ethics committee national chair. I've been a part of building ethics resources for associations, keynoted on ethics several times. So for me, the fact that you all do care so much about ethics is a key reason that I came to be a part of this community. So I'm glad to see it's still a part of what makes you special and what you're going to be doing moving forward. With all of that in mind, and that little tangent on the side there with ethics, I want to let you know that there is a webinar coming up where all of this research will be dug into much more deeply. And that is March 24th. It is a webinar, 90 minutes on just the publication from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern. And it will be led by some of the authors behind this research. I'm going to do a little welcome at the beginning, but it is primarily going to be done by the CARE Advisory Board and some research contributors. So, there's this long link here. Jeff also put it in the chat. Thank you for that, Jeff. But I do encourage you, if you're at all curious about this, please come to the webinar and join us, and you can hear more about the research. So in general, though, as I look at the research, what I'm seeing, the state of the profession is this. There is progress as we look at the field moving forward. There is also polarization. So there is also the field kind of being pulled in two different directions or in multiple directions. There is this digital transformation. So more and more data that is being used as kind of the language for this field. There is supply chain security, and there is the rollback of DEI initiatives that has had a rippling effect through the work that procurement professionals are doing. And for me, as I read this research, to me there is this call to action to invest in the profession, invest in yourselves, in your careers, in your professional development, to continue to focus on ethics, transparency, and competition, and to ensure that every dollar spent serves the public interest, and as always, to lead with integrity, which I know you already do. And for me, I think about if we want to build the future that we want our communities to inherit, we're going to do that one contract, one student, one professional, one idea at a time. And I want to show some acknowledgement, some recognition to all of the people who work so hard on putting that research publication together. And so my thanks to those individuals. So I've got about 15 minutes. I'm going to start to close up our time together here as I talk about my overall vision for NIGP. And then probably I'll finish a few minutes early, and so I'll be able to take some questions. So if you want to start thinking about what questions you might have, feel free to do that. But as I think again from a big picture perspective about my overall vision for NIGP, together, I truly believe that we are building from a point of success. NIGP has been here for 81 years. And my predecessor, Rick Grimm, who I had the pleasure of working alongside for 2 months, he is just one of the most wonderful people I've ever met. And so when I talk to people and I say, hey, I'm the new CEO, the most common answer I get is, well, I love Rick. And I always say, well, I love Rick too, right? So I'm very proud to have come after Rick's great success. And it is my job to just build on his legacy, build on the great work that he did over these last 28 years. And I really just want to build from what he created. And I truly see that together we have just a really wonderful opportunity to have a bold future together. And I see NIGP in our community as being this. Rick says, "Stop making me blush." Oh, he's wonderful. I love him. And I see that we have this opportunity to be this dynamic hub for learning, for ethical leadership, and for public service. I see that together we can make this field that I am choosing every day, and I know you are choosing every day, to be a magnet for top talent and forward-thinking professionals, that we can bring in that next generation of professionals. And I see that we can be a trusted partner, an equal partner with our chapters, our affiliates, our employers, our agencies, our institutions, our universities, that we can come together and to create a community. And as I shared with you, I truly believe that this next era for NIGP happens from us building our community first. That's how it starts. And so I believe that through our strong value, by deepening our member benefits, and by building our community through deep connections, members will naturally become our strongest ambassadors. Remember, I said that if we give you member benefits that are stronger than ever, that you will become our strongest ambassadors because the benefits will be undeniable. And so you will become the voice who builds our community. And so I believe that we can together inspire the next generation to see this great career as a calling. And I believe that that starts right now during procurement month. And so I hope that you will celebrate this month, that you will share on social media how you discovered this field and why you choose it every day. I hope to see those stories. Again, hopefully, we will be able to share some of those stories in our newsletter. And again, with all of that vision in mind, all of these stories in mind, it is my honor to lead this exceptional community into your next era. And so this is my information. I'm here to serve you. You serve the public, and I serve you. So if there's ever anything that I can do to support you, please reach out to me anytime. And I'm going to take the slides down. They will be available. They'll be sent out to you, as will the recording. And I'm going to take the slides down so I'm more visible on the screen. And if you have questions, feel free to just post them in the chat. I'm watching all of your comments. I'm glad that folks enjoyed the session. Thank you. And I see the Happy Procurement Month and Happy Women's Month. Yes. Yeah. And yes, you'll get a copy of the slides. Very good. I see people leaving and I'm not seeing questions coming in, so I'll stay on a couple of minutes longer. Sometimes people only want to ask a question in more privacy, and that's okay too. And you can always private message me as well. And Susan asked, can you use some of your own comments in your procurement month activities? Absolutely. Absolutely. Please use your own words to celebrate. Question in the chat. What is your stance on using AI in developing solicitations? I don't know enough about developing solicitations yet to really have a strong opinion on that. What I can tell you is my overall view on AI. And again, I can't speak to developing solicitations. I'm not a procurement professional and I'm still new to your field. But what I can tell you is in the last couple of years, what I heard more of, say, a year and a half, 2 years ago, from other association CEOs and other leaders was a fear around AI in general. Policies for employees that said, you must not use AI, those kinds of things. And I think that if we ban it, it's like telling your employees you can't use Google, right? It's something that is going to end up very much integrated in our everyday lives, in our work. And so I think in general, we have to find ways to use it ethically and efficiently and correctly. But we in general can't say, you must not. Instead, we need to find ways to use it in an ethically and appropriate way. But again, I can't speak to developing solicitations. Mm. I see a question in the chat. What do I believe differentiates us in delivering value to our members today? I truly believe, Maurice, that it is the quality of our education. I think there's a lot of organizations out there in our space that provide education, and for several of them, they're providing free education. For us, I truly believe it is that we are providing really high level, accredited professional development education. And so I do believe that's what sets us apart. And we're going to continue doing that. And at the same time, though, what I want to see us do is to really build out our community and our connections. Because in a world where so many other organizations are providing education, we cannot just hang our hat on well, our education is better. That can't be our only brand differentiator. So instead, we are going to continue to have strong education. We are going to focus on that. But I also want us to be the place where our members feel this is your professional home, that you might belong to other organizations, you might go to other organizations' free webinars, but it's NIGP where you feel like you come home. This is the place where you belong. And so that's really part of how we're going to be building out this sense of community. I see a question in the chat. We seem to be US based. Are there supports for Canadian members? We are incorporated here in the US, but we are trying to do more and more to serve our Canadian members. We recently did a partnership with the Ontario chapter, I know, to try to get more of our educational programming to be more accessible to our Canadian members. But yeah, I can tell you we have quite a lot of Canadian members, and we're trying to do as much as we possibly can right now, given some of the barriers politically that exist, to serve our Canadian members any way that we can. Great. Nicholas, I see your question. Having discovered procurement later in your career, you want some information on kind of where to start with your career pathway. I would encourage you to go to the concierge page on our website and going through that process. They'll give you a customized pathway for how to advance in your career, and it'll ask you, what is your end goal? What are you trying to get to in your career? And then customize a plan for you. And so I think that's the best way for you to start. And Todd's given you his information. He can help you with that. Thank you, Nicholas. I appreciate that. Thank you, Allison. Any other questions? Tracy, feel free. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Kimberly. All right. I'm not seeing more questions, just uh, comments at this point. So I don't want to keep you from your busy schedules. I know the work you do is important. So why don't we call it here? And again, we'll send out the PDF of the slides and the recording link. But thank you all so much for your time today. I truly appreciate it. Thanks so much.
And one final thank you, Debbie, for sharing your vision and passion for the profession. Make it a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.